Alright, this is Smolov number 20, what should be Wednesday of the first week of the intense cycle. It's actually Thursday, as I mentioned. I'm going to give myself a little more rest in between the days because I was just not recovered. I After squatting today, I still don't believe I was recovered enough. So now I'm starting to hit some snags in the Smolov program for a little natural dude. Recovery is not like it would be with proper supplementation and things of that nature, and sleeping 8 hours a day and maybe an hour nap here and there. So Well, let me give you what I did today. My top sets were supposed to be 450 for a triple, which I did, which is online on a video. Then I had to drop down and do 425 for a set of 5, and then another set of 5. On the first set of 5, I got them all, but I felt a very small minor twinge in my left erector. On reps number 4 and 5. So probably shouldn't even done rep number 5. It was very small. I didn't even think too much of it until it happened again the second time. Then it was like, oh, what's going on? So being in the game for a little while, I said, you know what? I'm just going to strip down that there bar and walk away. So I did not do my second set of 5. So now I'm missing not only some reps but some complete sets, which is definitely not the idea of one of these types of programs. So if you see the video, I'll try to put it at the end, of my triple at 450. It's work. It is right there. I don't quite think that's how things are supposed to be on these types of programs. I've always been a big believer in your last rep should look like your first rep. And that philosophy is starting to go right down the toilet at these percentages for me right now. I'm a numbers guy. 450 for 3. If you punch that into a little 1 rep calculator, it's right around that 500, which is what I set my max at. 425 for 5, it's right around that 500. So even though you're doing 90% weight or 85% weight, when you add up those reps, you are pretty much at 100% intensity, and that's a big distinction. If you follow Louis Simmons at all, he says you train at over 90% 3 weeks in a row, and you're probably going to start regressing. That's why they switch up and use the conjugate system and switch movements, so they can always train heavy, but it's a different motor pattern. Well, with these routines, you're not doing that. You're squatting with a bar. No bands, no chains, no funky nothing, no buffalo bars, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just running over some thoughts in my head and what I think would probably be the best course of action for me at this point, because I do want to finish the program. Not like this, because this is where the injury will kick in, and I think it's probably where a lot of people get stubborn and say, oh, you got to use the weight, blah, blah, blah. Well, if your form's going bad and you're starting to miss reps or complete sets like I did today, then no, you got to change something else. So, again, in the article that I read you yesterday, it says you can decrease the weight by 5 to 7% as long as you're still hitting your sets and reps. That may be a good idea for me at this point. I also think that will lower things just enough to the point where I can get back to that normal Monday, Wednesday, Saturday schedule. So I'm going to rework the numbers using a new max, which would be 7% lighter. So instead of 500, we'll strip 35 pounds off of that, and we'll assume my max after the base cycle was 465. I am not a high volume, high frequency guy like a lot of these Russian guys when they go into the routine. So it only stands to reason that for me, something is going to give. So if I have to I can't change the frequency of the volume of the routine. It is what it is. So the only thing I'm in control of is maybe dropping that weight down a bit. So I'm going to redo the entire percentages for the next month based off of 465, which I believe puts my 95%, which you hit a few times, at 440. Still fantastic in my opinion. Starting off the base cycle with a max of about 405, so to end up doing multiple sets and reps with 440 will be fantastic, and will still put me ahead of where I have been for the past several years. Excuse me. So instead of getting injured or quitting, which I'm not into, either one, I'm going to drop down those numbers. I am going to keep squatting. I am going to try and shovel in more food because that should help me recover. It's the only thing I can do. If I can get some more sleep, that's awesome, but it's probably not very likely. I got to work when I got to work. So that's what I'm going to do from here out. I would love to still be able to squat this Saturday. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe with those new numbers. I know Saturday gets a little bit easier than today or Monday was. So that would be fantastic. But in any case, I am going to keep going. I'm going to redo the numbers, keep cranking, and see what we come out of it with at the end. In the beginning, you heard me say I'd be happy to get right around that 5 or the low 5s. Well, I can't be greedy. I'm already there. So like I said, with a couple of back tweaks in my past, my big PR of 555 probably 7-8 years ago, almost 40. So for me to be right up in that 500 range again, low 5s, I think is fantastic. I do think if I play it smart, things are feeling good, they should go fine. The set of 400 I did today was actually pretty quick. I had to do that for a set of 4. Yes, I've moved it for more before. Never in a fatigued state like I am in now. And never, ever, ever for multiple sets. So the volume of this routine is just, for me, tremendous. So all that stuff I think will still play into effect and will still get me somewhere good. I've just got to use my noggin. That's all I got for today. I'm going to rest up, I'm going to eat, and we'll see what happens in the next week or so. Peace.